Today we'll be talking about kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae is divided into two groups or categories: the cryptogams or the non-flowering plants and the phanerogams or the flowering plants. The cryptogams or the non-flowering plants are further divided into three groups. They are Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. The word Thallophyta is derived from the word thallus. Thallus means an undifferentiated body, that is, no roots, no stems, and no leaves. Just like in algae or the green pond scum that you see floating on the surface of stagnant water or near any river bodies. So, Thallophyta's main feature is their body is undifferentiated, known as thallus. They have no roots, stems, or leaves. And chief representative is algae. Algae is green in color as it contains chlorophyll and it helps to prepare its own food by photosynthesis. It's the starting point of almost every food chain. Next, we come to Bryophyta. Bryophytes are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom. You know, amphibians are those organisms which can live both on land and in water, just like frogs. But here, bryophytes, they are the plants which live in moist or damp areas, that is, next to the river bodies or water bodies. Example is mosses. They have stems and leaves, but they do not have roots. Please take a note again that Thallophyta have no stem, no roots, or no leaves, but Bryophytes have stems and leaves, but roots are absent. Instead of roots, root like structures are present, which are called rhizoids. The third category is Pteridophyta, and the main representative are ferns. We find ferns in our garden. They also require moisture, but unlike Bryophyta, they can grow in your gardens as well. But Bryophytes need a very damp soil and environment to grow. Now, Bryophytes had stem and leaves but no roots, but Pteridophytes have well developed roots, stems, and leaves. Their leaves produce spores on their underside. If we take a look on the lower surface of the leaf of Pteridophyta, we find structures like this. These are the spores, and spores help in propagation of the plant. Next, we move on to flowering plants or the phanerogams. Flowering plants or the phanerogams again are divided into two categories: gymnosperms and angiosperms. So, as the name says, flowering plants, they are the plants who bear flowers and also fruits and seeds. They are the seed bearing plants, and they are divided into two categories: gymnosperms and angiosperms. Gymnos means naked and sperma means seed. So they bear naked seeds. Naked seeds means seeds which are not enclosed inside any fruit. When you will go to hill stations, you will find pine cones growing like this. Structure like this. You will find lot of dried pine cones fallen on the roadsides, wooden structures like this. And here the seeds are present. So this is not a fruit, it is not enclosed, the seeds are open. So they bear cones, they do not bear flowers, they bear cones. So gymnosperms bear naked seeds, their seeds are not enclosed inside fruits and they bear cones. Whereas angiosperms, their seeds are enclosed inside the fruits. Most of the plants around us are angiosperms. The fruits that we eat, the seed is contained inside them. Unlike the gymnosperms like pine, fir, spruce, they are all gymnosperms. But most of the trees on plains, not on hill stations, on plains, are angiosperms. And they bear bisexual flowers. These bear cones and angiosperms bear flowers. Angiosperms again are further divided into two categories: monocotyledonous plants and dicotyledonous plants. Short form is monocot and dicot. As the name says, monocotyledonous, it means they have only one cotyledon in their seed. And dicots, they have two cotyledons in their seed. In the previous class, you had studied about bean seed. These are the two cotyledons in its seed, so it makes it dicotyledonous. And maize, grain or maize seed, it had only a single cotyledon here, and that is why it is a monocot. So monocots have one cotyledon, dicots have two cotyledons in their leaves. Moreover, they differ in their venation. Monocots like grass or bamboo have a parallel venation in their leaves. Or in banana, the venation is like this. You have studied in class 6 about parallel venation. So monocots have a parallel venation, whereas dicots have a reticulate venation, like a net-like venation, like you see in China rose or rose. This kind of net-like venation can be seen in dicots and it is called reticulate venation. Monocots have a fibrous root system. If you check out the root system of grass, it is something like this, a bunch of fibers. You don't see a well developed primary root. But dicots have a tap root system with a well developed tap root from which side roots or secondary roots come out, from which root hairs come out. A well developed tap root is there. So, coming back to the differences, monocots, their seeds have a single cotyledon. Dicots, they have two cotyledons. Monocots, their leaves have a parallel venation. Dicots have a reticulate venation. Monocots have a fibrous root system and dicots have a tap root system. So these are the differences between monocots and dicots. And a quick recap: Kingdom Plantae divided into two categories: non-flowering plants or cryptogams and flowering plants or phanerogams. Cryptogams divided into three groups: Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta, and flowering plants divided into two groups: Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Angiosperms are further divided into two groups: monocots and dicots. So this is all you need to know about the classification of kingdom Plantae.